Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me as usual, we got Jameson, we got Ty, and we're here to talk about another week of what is just kind of the off-season. A lot of stuff, coming up to the draft. Big weekend from Perrion Winfrey. National Signing Day has come and gone. We'll talk about if there were any surprises, any things like that in the Cruton Corner. And some other stuff, for sure. Get our foot in the door there. Anyways, let's start this off. Jameson, big weekend for Perrion Winfrey at the Senior Bowl, taking home MVP. First time a defensive player has done that since 2014, I believe. So pretty massive stuff. The guy showed out after, this podcast specifically, I would say, ragged on him for an entire season. Your thoughts on his weekend, and what does this do for his draft stock?
I think it's great for your draft stock. You have a lot of NFL scouts who watch this very closely, and he dominated the whole week. This wasn't just the game. This was all through practice. And that's really good for him, and I'm very, very happy. But I'm skeptical. Like you said, this whole season, I was very hard on him. I felt like a lot of the times he didn't bring enough effort every single week. And as a defensive lineman, you've got to be a guy who brings it every single play, and it's going to be tough. And there's not going to be that motivation of you trying to get higher in the draft and playing just that 1 week to show out, and then you're on break again. No, NFL season's 18 weeks and one bye. So I've got a lot to watch from him still. I'm skeptical, but there's no doubt his draft grade went up, and I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. After a tough year, it's good to see him kind of get some of that back. Ty, your thoughts on Winfrey? I know we've kind of ragged on him. What do you think? Do you think? Why do you think we didn't see this Perrion kind of all season long? What are your thoughts on his? I don't know. Does it surprise you to see him go off like this?
I don't think so. I mean, it never surprises me to see players with that OU DNA showing out and showing what OU brings to the table in terms of creating pro football players. We just saw that with the Pro Bowl, which was not worth your time, but the amount of OU players out there on that field. But I mean, he played hard all season. He played, obviously, a lot of people, I think we agree. I don't necessarily remember my takes, but I'm sure at many points we all sort of agreed that maybe there was some stuff left out on the field. And not to rehash, again, old talking points that we're kind of going to be stuck with all off season, but maybe the big reason, right? And I think Jameson might agree with this, and you as well, Bobby. Maybe the big reason is there was motivation there. And that is one of the jobs of coaches, right? There's a lot of coaches you can name out there that maybe aren't the best X and O's guys, but they can get their teams hyped up. And there's some really, really good guys. And then, the coaches that can get their guys hyped up and know the X's and O's of their time, Barry Switzer comes to mind, are the ones that create sort of dynasties. So, I think you can say there's obvious motivation in the Pro Bowl. I don't even know if they have coaches, or in the Senior Bowl, I don't know if they have coaches or how that's done. The motivation is there already because it's his draft stock, which I think, exponentially improved. Really, really well, awesome performance. But
yeah,
if a guy is not putting in effort, maybe maybe it's a fitness thing, maybe there's just lingering other stuff there, but it's on the coaches to get people motivated, and find that thing that motivates people. And I think there's maybe a deeper thing to read into.
Yeah.
A lot of people are reading into that as well. But
Ty, I think you have an interesting point. Just I want to say this before I forget, because on the other side of the coin, I feel like I'm skeptical of Perrion, obviously, because he hasn't showed me the whole season that he can produce. And you bring up this coaching thing. Maybe it wasn't. I don't really think that out of 1 week, the coaching staff of the Senior Bowl just made this extreme impact to him. But maybe it was just this Alex Grinch speed D with all of the stunts and all of the line moving that they do. It just didn't work for Perrion, and it got to the point where, he just needed to do him. He needed to just go after the quarterback and just be that guy. We saw a lot of the time he was missing tackles. That's probably because he's got him moving all over the field trying to get too fancy. I think
that can wear a guy. Yeah. No, and I wasn't saying the Pro Bowl or the Senior Bowl coaching had him motivated. I was saying, the motivations of doing well in the Senior Bowl had him motivated.
Oh
And
yeah,
I've been
no
seeing
doubt.
a lot of storylines of people saying like, "Oh, he was underdeveloped at OU or underutilized." Maybe I would almost argue,
He
like
was
you said,
not.
Jameson, he was kind of overutilized. Like he was just all sorts of running that was not during the play that was wearing him out. But I see a lot of people saying underdeveloped when it comes to the coaching, and that doesn't make sense because then he wouldn't have done good in the Senior Bowl. To me, if you're gonna find let's like try to pin some blame on the coaching staff here, it's got to be our previous coaching staff, the staff that he played for, maybe didn't motivate the players the best, which we've seen with close games to terrible teams and dropping games we shouldn't. So.
Yeah, no, I think Ty is, kind of on the money here. I think a lot of it was kind of a complacency. I feel like it showed strongly in Perrion, but it was across the board. Guys who, didn't, give their all most times, didn't light, that fire. Hell, we saw Perrion Winfrey get tossed around against Tulane, which is just kind of crazy and kind of not, something's up there. But, in terms of coaching and stuff, in terms of scheme, I feel like it made sense. It just, he probably kind of got, it's like a desperation thing. This is your time to show out. This is your time to ball out. And he just took it to a different level. We saw the Perrion Winfrey we saw in 2020 and what we expected to see this year.
But does that not concern you a little bit if you're an NFL scout, Bobby, that he goes out throughout the year and he has these certain games that he doesn't show out, like a Tulane, where he doesn't have the respect for it, and then whenever he needs to turn on the Jets, he does it then? I think that could even be construed as a negative by scouts if they look into it, saying like, is this guy only going to show out for a couple games? Because if I'm a team and I'm not top of the league or if I'm not doing well, say if he gets drafted by Jacksonville Jaguars, how much is he going to want to play? How many Sundays is he going to come to play and just get throttled every single week in his division? It just scares me a lot, especially I love Perrion. I love how he conducts himself, especially after this Lincoln Riley, and it was fun as a fan watching him on Twitter. But if I'm an NFL team and I'm not, this is very anti-Homer. I just don't want him on my team unless he can show me something that he can do this over and over and over instead of whenever he needs to. I don't want a procrastinator who does their homework right before the exam, or does right before the due date. I want a guy who gets it done and early and does the correct preparation and shows out when he needs to.
Yeah, and that's why I don't see him going like a first round or anything too high because of that consistency. Because anyone can just ball out for a week when they need to, but not the good ones, the ones who survive and thrive and last in this league. They bring their hard hat every day because you have to. Every year another class of guys comes in, bigger, faster, stronger, and if you don't keep up with it, if you don't go at that high level every time, you're going to be out of a job soon. That I definitely feel like is concerning, but we'll see. Hopefully it works out for the best. But I definitely don't think it was an issue with the job that Jamar Cain and Calvin Thibodeau did at OU. So
I will say, the NFL, it's a whole different thing. There's plenty of NFL players that have sort of staked their career. They're making absurd sums of money to sort of show out, weeks 1 through 6 and then just perform abysmally. Dak Prescott comes to mind.
Yeah. That's funny.
Hey, another Senior Bowl MVP.
Hey, I'm a Cowboys fan, I would like to add, so nobody get mad at the Schooner Pod, try to tear us down, say we're anti-Cowboys.
Yeah, we're not anti-Cowboys. We just kind of, to be fair,
all I'm saying is if the Cowboys had,
like, if you count Blake, if we count Blake, we're like 50% Cowboys.
That's a shame.
That is a bummer. That is,
Bobby. Who do
that's
you
kind of sad to
your
think
NFL
about.
Team?
Man, I don't know. I need to find. I need to like fully like put my ship in a dock
We
if
have
that
a
makes sense.
whole-
I need to.
Last season, it seemed like you already had that dock in Tampa Bay, but it seems like you're already sailing.
Yeah.
because something-
My heart
Yeah.
wasn't in it. My
A
heart
couple
wasn't in it.
seasons Before Bobby was a Pats fan, he's one of those guys.
No, well, so that was the thing. Is it was like I was very like I was a Bucks fan, like as a joke during the Jameis era. And, I have family in Tampa. Loved the Winky Pirate. Almost wore the hat on the show today, but I opted against it. So when I go from like kind of halfway a fan, and then you get Tom Brady and really go on a run, it's like it didn't feel right. It kind of felt like I was like, they're gonna lump me in as a bandwagoner, and I kind of liked him, but my heart wasn't in it. So I need to find a new home. For the most part, I just kind of root for OU players across the NFL, of which there are many. OU football actually just tweeted this. 5 OU players in the Super Bowl coming up, which is the most in program history. So that's some pretty great stuff.
So Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, Jordan Evans, Obo Okoronkwo, and
Bobby Evans.
And Bobby Evans. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bobby Evans plays much anymore. But yeah.
He's probably a backup. I don't know. I need to follow the NFL a little bit more, but I don't know. That's fun. It's always fun to have your guys in the Super Bowl, and growing up, it was always kind of like if there was one Sooner in the Super Bowl, it was like, oh, what the hell? Like this is kind of fun, So it's nice to actually root for guys who will have an impact on the game instead of like, hey, Blake Bell's kind of hanging out in the corner.
You got to be a Cincy fan, though, obviously, going into this if you're going straight OU.
Yeah, just by the numbers, pure, pure utilitarianism, which one will, provide the most Sooners with the most rings. So good stuff. Moving on, unless y'all had anything else to say about Perrion.
I was going to say we could do a full 30-minute at least podcast on the intricate web of pro and college teams that we all claim to be fans of.
We need a deep dive of everything. And everyone knows this who listens to this, that I am a big supporter of the Colorado Buffaloes, Arizona State, anyone
Miami,
in Pac-12,
Texas State.
Miami.
Texas State, of
Yeah,
course.
that's what I'm saying is we could
App
have
State.
a whole segment on because Jameson will be like, I despise this team because one time I had $2 on a game in 2016 and they failed to cover. And so now they're dead to me type thing.
Wyoming is like we need to go through like the beef list. I feel like Wyoming is
We'll
a
get
recent
Boat Blake
beef.
on. Boat Blake can explain what his problem with San Diego State is.
It's funny stuff. I love it. But yeah, so other big thing, National Signing Day happened last week. And Jameson, I gotta ask, usually this is a pretty chill day for OU. Usually it gets done in the early period in December, but a lot of movement, a lot of flash for this one. Any surprises? Anything we need to know about as we move into the off season?
For people,
Let me hit your music. It's a Cruden Corner.
Yeah, please,
This counts as a Cruden Corner.
David.
Yes.
What is this, David?
This is a
Cruden Corner with Jamison.
Everybody dancing now.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, for everyone who pays attention to recruiting, it wasn't too surprising, but there were a couple ones that came down to the wire that people were really keeping their eye on. So I'm just going to go through all of the guys who signed, for the most part. Not all of them, but the big names. Gentry Williams put it in ink. But for the guys that hadn't been committed to OU yet, and we were looking to who they're going to announce to, Grayson Halton, we saw that he decommitted from Oregon and ended up signing with OU. He's going to be like a D-end type of guy. He's got a good frame on him, and he'll be really cool to see how Schmitty sculpts him. Cavante Henry was a guy that was kind of quiet as well, and then kind of picked up a lot of steam here as of recently. He's an edge rusher, former Michigan commit, but I think that there might have been some academic kind of tribulations with him, and with Michigan being quite a high-end academic school, I think something fell through there, and we are the beneficiaries. And it came down to where we were worried that maybe there might be something academic there too. So something to keep in the back of your head. But watching his tape, he seems like he's got a lot to him. But something to think about, but still a great get. Any guy that was committed to a big school like Michigan ended up flipping and coming to OU is always a good sign, especially whenever we're very much in need in defensive linemen. As you can see, pretty much what we've been talking about this whole second cycle has been defensive linemen. The next defensive lineman, R. Mason Thomas, flipping from Iowa State to OU, was a big deal because he was another Florida guy. And Miami was putting the race on him, and we didn't know if we were going to win that race. And it looks like we did. Big time edge that early in the recruiting process was not that highly ranked, and now it looks like he's kind of made a big jump, especially in 247 sports. And then the last guy that we got, Jamarian Burt, another Florida guy, but he's a DB. Seems like he's pure athlete, pretty raw, doesn't have too much to him right now, but it looks like it'll take some time, hopefully with a better defensive backs coach to kind of sculpt him. And then the failure would be Ahmad Moten, the other Florida defensive lineman, committing to Miami, committing to his home team where he has a lot of connections to as well. So overall, if you're looking at the 5 guys that I just named there, you went 80%. So you got to be happy with that. And you rounded out with the number 8 class in 2022, which is the best we've done, better than ever with Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, just a truly unreal deal. Thinking back on, November, that we would still have a top 10 class, not just a top 10 class, but one of our best in, the best in 4 years, statistically. I mean, just what an incredible job by Bob Stoops to, stabilize things. And of course for Venables and all those guys to come in and just really close it out. Just really remarkable. And, I gotta say, I love the little Florida pipeline. I don't want to call it a pipeline yet. It hasn't started. It's just a little baby pipe, but, there's something going on here. I don't know what the hell I just said. It's a little trickle. That didn't help. That didn't help. That is even worse. Oh, I don't know. I love it though. It's like a straw, like a very small pipe.
If you were to measure the feet of the pipe, would it be enough feet to keep Caleb Williams in Norman?
No, here's the thing. It's a long pipe. Obviously, Florida's a long way away, but it's like really tight. It's like a pencil, But anyways, I'm loving it. Florida is just unreal. It's different.
Oh,
so if you could,
we're banging mics now. Bobby is flustered. He's absolutely flustered.
I ticked it.
Recover, Bobby. Recover.
We got Michael Whitman in the chat just slamming me. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. But here's something interesting that I found. We might not be done yet. Because 5-star D lineman LeBeus Overton is going to reclassify from 2023 to 2022, and he has OU in his top 5. So Jameson, what are the odds that we can potentially snag this type of guy?
5-10%. I feel like we know a lot more right now in our chances and be a lot more of a talking point if we were going to get him. And the thing is, whenever you reclassify from a 2023 to a 2022, you have a plan already set in mind pretty much of where you're going, because you're not going to make that big of a move to take out one of your year of your high school career if you don't have a plan already kind of in your mind, even if you don't have, even if you're not committed, you've got to kind of know. And even though he's an OU legacy, the guy lives just a couple foot, for a couple feet from Georgia Stadium. So I think that Georgia's the name to watch here, and you never know with Texas A&M. They got plenty of money still, I'm sure, to make that recruiting class even better.
They just need more D linemen. They're just stacking them. I gotta say, I love Jimbo Fisher freaking out about a poster on I think it was the 247 site, Sliced Bread, for saying that they're just paying the recruits, which they let's be honest,
Jimbo
they definitely
got
are.
so mad whenever he was asked about it. I was like, dude, you being defensive about this just makes it sound worse. Just say hey, the NIL deals are expanding, and we're just making what we got. And I mean,
he's just
sorry.
mad that, he feels like everybody copied their move.
Paying kids.
He's like, what do you mean? We've been doing this forever. You guys are acting like this is news.
I think the new goal for our podcast for the Schooner pod is to get Ty called out by Jimbo Fisher in a press conference. We need Ty.
I'll
Ty
go.
needs.
I'll just
Ty,
go to College Station, and it can't be that easy, or it can't be that hard to fake your way into an A&M
while wearing the hat,
right?
Oh yeah, we can.
Well, yeah, you buy a ring on eBay, right?
Exactly.
And then you just go and make up just a ridiculous name, like who's the car dealer from like the Fairly Odd Parents? Like just a crazy
Doug
name.
Dimmadome.
Yeah, I'm Doug Dimmadome. I'm a massive donor. They have so many massive donors, they wouldn't know. They don't have time to check the list, so you just walk through, just walk into the press conference, and then,
just a couple oil men in here from Dallas.
If it's Dallas, then they'd be like,
Hey,
something's up.
Let's make this a quick pod because obviously there's not too much to go. But quick question before we end this. We've already made a couple of foot references. Do you actually believe the Caleb Williams rumors about him being a foot guy? Yes or no?
My thing is, what is there to know? Because how are you supposed to know? I know there are a couple sorority girls freaking out and saying that on that Instagram. But to be fair, that could have you could have said anything. We're let's be honest. We were literally just constructing a plan to break into a Texas A&M press conference. You can't trust college kids. Can't trust the schemes. I don't believe it. I don't know. It could be wrong. It could be right. There's no way of knowing unless he just goes full Rex Ryan and just starts talking about it. Then you never know.
If I had to one answer, like a one-word answer, is it true or not? I think the evidence points to yes, right? Because we have the initial comment that sparked it all, several other comments, just the reaction, the general reaction to, and the amount of likes and the demographic of the people that was liking it. But then you go to like his Twitter and, you just look at like someone's Twitter account and then search like a keyword just like limited to them and feet. And there's like several thing saying like feet are beautiful, like I love feet, like look at the feet here. And then you look at his like post history on Instagram and there's all sorts of just weird like feet stuff and is like constant like peep the feet. Like there is too much there for there not to be some sort of substance, right? If it's not a legitimate thing, then it's just the most deep cover running joke of all time, which is like, the easiest cop out of anything. Like, I was doing it as a joke. Like it's an inside joke. You wouldn't get it, but there's a lot there. So I think in closing, I think Your Honor and the jury will find that the evidence proves without a shadow of a doubt that the USC starting quarterback does in fact like feet.
I have to go in favor of Ty here. I was on the fence. But science sometimes is a bitch. So go Ty.
Science. It's science.
Science is a bitch sometimes. Maybe this could be a segment. Those old Mark May, Lou Holtz. You had Reese Davis in the little judge outfit. The old late night ESPN show. Usually nothing good was on other than that. Maybe not completely rip that off, but I love this was a fun little segment,
Ty's got to be Dr. Lou.
Dr. Lou. I'm a doctor. Mantis Toboggan, MD. Yeah, no, that was fun. But I will say just don't kink shame. That's not cool. But also, that's kind of funny.
Okay, but here's the thing, right?
Bobby's sitting on a hot seat right now.
You said no.
I'm not sitting on a hot seat.
But you said no. But to say that it's kink shaming is in and of itself an admission that it's true. Because if it's not true, then it is impossible for us to say it. So there's no way that it's not a thing, right? Because if it is a thing, then we're right and it's mean. But if it's not a thing, then we can say it as much as we want. Because it's not mean. So really, it's a catch. It's a can't lose scenario here. Unlike the Pac-12 for USC, where they will lose at least 5 games.
That is, I think 5 might be that's a solid number. That feels about right to me. It's too early for win totals, but I don't know. USC has a lot of work to do, and we got to end this off a little bit. I know we're just trying to go fast. I'm sorry, Jameson, but we got to talk about Lincoln, what he said about the transfer portal, and he wasn't stealing guys from Oklahoma. He was just grabbing them from the portal. Shut the hell up. He just needs to go full heel turn. Just lean into it at this point.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but at that point, whenever people keep asking you these questions, he's got to avoid them. But at the same time, he's got such a negative persona to him already, and how he's been construed in, like, the media and by the fans, that, like, him saying this, does it really change your opinion even more of him? It's just another it's another feather in his hat, but it isn't adding any weight to him. He's already shown his true cards.
That is true.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'll keep it brief. Is anyone can sort of say, "Oh, I would do this in this situation," or have their sort of I don't want to say high horse, because that sounds presumptuous and sort of negative. But anyone can say, like, "Oh, if I were in that situation," yeah, that's sort of the whole podcasting business and the media as a whole. Even as this whole, "Oh, they should have done this, I would have done this," right? Lincoln Riley had his opinion about the transfer portal and stuff until he was in that situation to benefit from it, and then all of a sudden those, if you want to frame it as an ethical decision or whatever else, become a lot harder to make when you actually have the opportunity to make them. So, I don't fault the guy at all. We talked about Caleb Williams, kind of an unpopular opinion with the fans and our viewers, but I don't fault Caleb Williams either. It's a business moves. So.
Yeah, no, I get it, and some of the stuff we've been hearing about the Beats by Dre deal potentially. I guess I get it, but I don't know. I just stop trying to act like you did. Look, all is fair in college football. You stab people in the back, you move on, you do all that sort of stuff, but don't try to act like what you did is just like morally okay. There are no morals. You did what you did. You snagged. You took advantage of a situation you had at your former employer, and you used it to your new employer's gain. That's how that works for 90% of college football, except apparently Brent Venables, who is almost too nice. But you know what? I don't know. Maybe Brent's right, and karma comes around. So hopefully it comes around in a big way, and. Lincoln Riley's coaching the Seahawks or someone random in like 2 years. Or he's coaching like Kent State.
Pete Carroll back to USC.
Ooh. That would be something.
That would be scary. That would legitimately be scary. I'd be worried about Pete Carroll in USC.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Pete Carroll, but he can shoot for free now.
Yeah. That's literally like you're getting Barry Switzer 95 Cowboys. But he can come back to OU and do everything he was doing already at OU, but got fired for.
Man, could you imagine Barry with NIL? It would be that is the most dangerous head coach of all time. Just coming in with his big fur jacket, flashing stacks openly.
Well, yeah, he sort of pioneered it, right? Because you got to think about, like, he had guys with groundbreaking NIL deals with the Medellin cartel and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Well, I will say he definitely did. He was a good recruiter just in general as well. He one of my favorite stories is he would go through the dumpster of whatever family he's visiting just to get a look at the beer can, and then whatever beer can is that person's dad was had in the dumpster, and then would be like, oh, that's my favorite beer, no matter what it was. You'd be like, oh, I love Hams, that's my favorite. But
yes, Hams. We're going down a poor line now, boys. Usually this is about the hour 10 mark, but in the off season, the 30-minute mark, we're starting to go down the Hams line.
Oh,
I can't believe my Charles Thompson reference got just didn't.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
it didn't. I didn't put two and two together.
I didn't even click it.
Yeah, but you know what? What goes around comes around, because he did that. He screwed over OU, and then he had to be a Texas fan for years, and now he has to be a Nebraska fan. So
right.
that is some tragic. That is some tragic karma. Just your two rivals in college. You have to root for them both now. But anyways, that's about all we got for this little show through the off season. These are going to be closer to little 30-minute bits. Just kind of keeping you along the way. But we'll get creative. We'll have fun with it. Spring football, still but a distant thing. And hoping
April
hoping it falls up-
23rd.
That makes me. I'm out of town that weekend, so I can't do it, which makes me
Ooh,
sad.
sucks. Baker Mayfield Heisman Trophy presentation. Ooh.
That makes me upset. I wanted to see that. No,
Never know. It
it's a
could
bummer.
change.
Well, I hope it doesn't change too much. We'll be in town for a wedding, so it would be a bad change if anything were to happen. But Ty, any final thoughts before we sign off here?
Nope, I'm all out.
Yep,
A lot of thoughts. I was out of thoughts before the podcast began. Actually,
we just kind of whiffed it, not whiffed it, but riffed on everything, made it up as we went.
We are contractually obliged, maybe, to release a pod every week.
Yeah, potentially.
Ad read.
DraftKings promo code TPPN right there.
In the
Use it.
podcast.
I'm ending the podcast. Thank y'all so much for listening. We'll be back next week with probably even worse rambles. So thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure to hit 5 stars if you are listening on podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit a subscribe if you like it. Tell your friends. It's good times. So, all right, everyone. For me, Jameson Ty, this has been the Schooner Pod presented by the Pigskin Podcast Network and DraftKings. We'll see you next time. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I'll miss you, football. That was probably not a great way to end it. That's okay. That's okay. We're still alive.
What an ominous